Hi guys, welcome to week 2 of the semester. You guys are doing a great job in week 1 of responding to the discussion boards and engaging in conversation with one another. It's always really cool to see people connecting and sharing things that they love, things they love to read. I happened to see the post about Shel Silverstein and poetry. It's really cool to listen to what other people find interesting as far as literature and what their educational background is, to see how you've connected with storytelling. I really like that discussion. That was a new discussion that I added this semester, and I was really inspired by the posts that I saw. So keep up the good work. So for week 2, there are a couple discussions. The first discussion, as we jump into short story, is in response to Kate Chopin's story of an hour. Some of you are familiar with Kate Chopin, while others of you may not be. She's a pretty well-known writer. She wrote The Awakening, which is an amazing novel. For those of you who like her style, you might want to check that out. I remember reading it when I was an undergrad at Fresno State, and I was blown away. It's a really beautiful kind of tragic story. But anyway, so for this discussion, we're doing short story, which in some ways is a bit more accessible than a novel because you are able to read it and finish it without too much time and effort. I'm reading the 5th, look at my shelf, the 5th Harry Potter right now, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, and I'm probably on page, I think last time I looked it was like 200 and something, and that book is about 700 pages long, so it's thick, so it's a different commitment than a short story. So for Chopin's story, you're just going to go to page 14 of the document linked here. So I'm going to go ahead and go to it. Let me save this because right now I'm in edit mode and it won't let me do that. But basically, you're going to open up the document that I've attached. You're going to go to page 14 and you're going to read the story. So some of you are printing out the packet, and that's a really great idea, the What Are Stories packet, because then you get the chance to write on it, which I really like doing with readings. I like to be able to highlight, underline. Remember, the first part of the packet, as you know, is all the terminology. This is all the stuff that's going to be on the quiz. And the quiz is just a way to help you reinforce information. I'm not trying to trick you or, see if you studied or not, because it's really not how we learn. We learn by kind of integrating information into what we already know and then plugging it into our own experience. And you guys are all familiar with literature in some regard. You guys have all taken English 1A, the course prior to this, and you all went through, most of you, many of you, went through high school and junior high and elementary reading stories, so you're familiar with the terminology. So again, you're going to scroll down to Story of an Hour, and so by Chopin, and you're going to read the story. It's a pretty short story. Let's see how many pages it is. So it's 1, 2, 3 pages. It's a really short story, and a really powerful short story. So for the discussion, you're going to read the story, and then you can even listen to it here. I found a YouTube video that reads it, or you can read it out loud. So again, this class isn't just about learning about literature. It's about strengthening your writing and your reading skills and building on the skills that you already have. And so I would encourage you to read Chopin's story out loud so you can hear it, you can practice your enunciation. One thing that I really like about making videos is that I have to slow down. I tend to talk really fast and I mumble, and so making videos helps me slow down a bit. So after you have read, annotated, taken good notes on the Chopin story, then you're going to jump in the discussion. So I'm going to pause for a second and just speak to the journal entry. So remember, this is a fully online course, and so your journal is a digital journal. If we were working together just one-on-one, like face-to-face or in a class, you would have an actual paper journal where you would bust out your ideas and we would do free writing. But since this is an online class, you have a digital journal instead. So for the digital journal, what I'm asking you to do for this particular unit is you're going to pull quotes from the short stories, and you're going to analyze those quotes. You're going to discuss those quotes. Remember, you're going to cite the quote and you're going to tie it to the story concepts from that packet. So say, for instance, you want to talk about the opening of the story. So you want to talk about the exposition. And so you're going to pull a line from the exposition. So just think about this. Think about the first line of the story. The first line of the story is this. Knowing that Mrs. Mallard was afflicted with a heart trouble, great care was taken to break to her as gently as possible the news of her husband's death. That's our first line. That's the opening of the story. That's the exposition. It's also one sentence, and it's a paragraph. It's its own little chunk. So you might analyze why Kate Chopin chose to do that, chose to make those particular decisions in writing this story. So how does it influence the reader? So again, for the journal log, you're going to pull 2 quotes from the reading. You're going to cite the quote in MLA. So that would mean that you'd have the quote in actual quotation marks. And at the end of the quote, before the period, you would have the parenthetical citation with Chopin and the page number. So on this one, it's page 99. So Chopin's last name and the page number in the parenthetical citation with a period. So again, that's what you're doing for the journal. It's good to do the journal as you're doing the readings because then you don't have to go back and try and catch up on work, and it's going to help you integrate information and kind of imprint the things that stood out to you and help you make connections. So again, after you're done doing your reading or listening to the reading or reading it out loud, then you're going to hop onto the discussion and you're going to share your thoughts in a solid paragraph by answering one of the following questions. So here are questions, and I'll just read the first couple. So why does Chopin introduce the reader to her protagonist as Mrs. Mallard rather than by her first name? So Miss Mallard, rather than by her first name. So you can think about, why would she do that? Why would she choose to introduce the reader to the protagonist in that way? Why not by her first name? Why not by she? You can kind of just explore, ask that question and see, let it roll around in your mind and just do an honest, kind of authentic response to it. The next one is, or another one is, Chopin describes a broad range of emotions throughout the story. In the end, what do you think really killed Louisa? So here we have the protagonist's first name, Louisa. So again, you're going to pick any one of these bullet points, and then you're going to share your thoughts in one solid paragraph. So remember, a solid paragraph is about 5 to 7, 6 to 8 sentences long, where you're pushing yourself to go deeper into thinking. And so you're just playing with ideas. So try to remember that as you're writing, just to let go and play with ideas and see where it takes you. So you don't have to be the intellectual expert scholar when your analysis, although you probably actually are. So just give yourself a chance to cultivate that. And then again, don't forget, remember to engage in discussion here, read and respond to other classmates' posts. When you find one that you think is provocative, respond to it in a thoughtful paragraph and engage in ideas. You can add to their ideas to what they already said. You can go deeper into your critical literary analysis. So that's the discussion, the first discussion for week 2 with Kate Chopin's Story of an Hour. Thank you for watching the video. I hope that it helped, that you found it useful.